Jaden had always been an avid nature enthusiast and a skilled wildlife photographer. His passion for capturing the wilderness in all its glory often took him deep into the heart of remote areas where few ventured. The crisp, icy cold air of winter was one of his favorite times to photograph. The barren landscapes, combined with the quiet stillness, offered him opportunities to capture breathtaking moments in nature. On one such winter afternoon, Jaden had ventured into the snow-covered forests, hoping to photograph some wildlife before heading home. The light was fading, and he had already gotten a few stunning shots of deer grazing in the snow and an eagle soaring overhead. As the sky turned darker, Jaden was ready to pack up and head home, his mind already drifting toward the warm cocoa and roaring fire that awaited him. But fate had other plans. Just as he was about to leave, his ears picked up something strange, loud, desperate mews piercing the cold air. The sound sent a shiver down his spine, not from the cold, but from the eerie sense that something was very wrong. Jaden froze for a moment, listening intently. The sound wasn't coming from a typical house cat. It had a wild edge to it. Slowly, he followed the sound, his heart pounding in anticipation. He knew that cry. It was the unmistakable call of a lynx, his favorite animal. His pulse quickened as he pushed through the thick snow toward the source of the sound. He found her, a baby lynx, alone and mewing in distress. The tiny cub looked incredibly young, not more than a few weeks old. The poor creature was shivering in the cold, its small frame barely able to withstand the harsh winter. Jaden's heart sank as he realized that the baby was in trouble. He scanned the area, looking for signs of the mother or other cubs. Surely the mother couldn't be far. He moved carefully, trying not to alarm the cub. As he circled around a large bush, his eyes fell on a sight that made his stomach drop. There, hidden behind a fallen log, was the rest of the lynx family. Several more cubs were playing near the entrance of what appeared to be a makeshift den. But it wasn't the playful cubs that caught his attention. It was their mother. The mother lynx lay at the entrance of the den, her body still and motionless. A large red stain covered the snow beneath her, and Jaden's stomach twisted in fear. The mother had a deep gash on her side, and from the looks of it, she had lost a significant amount of blood. She wasn't dead, though. He could see the faint rise and fall of her chest, but it was clear she was in bad shape. Without thinking, Jaden rushed forward. The cubs scattered at his approach, but he didn't care about that right now. His sole focus was the injured mother. Kneeling beside her, he could see the extent of her injuries. It looked like she had been in a fight with a predator, perhaps a wolf. She needed help, and fast. He pulled off the scarf he was wearing and wrapped it around the lynx's side, trying to stem the bleeding. But she needed more than a scarf. She needed proper care, and there was no time to lose. Realizing he couldn't leave the cubs behind, Jaden made a quick decision. He ran back to his cabin, which wasn't too far away, to grab supplies. He fetched his largest backpack, blankets, and some first aid supplies. When he returned to the den, he carefully placed each cub into the backpack, hoping they wouldn't resist too much. There were 7 cubs in total, and though they squirmed and mewled, they were small enough to fit inside the bag. With the cubs secured, Jaden turned his attention back to the mother. Gently wrapping her in a blanket, he lifted her as carefully as he could. She was unconscious, which made the task a bit easier, but he knew she could wake up at any moment. He hoped she would understand that he was trying to help, not harm her. It was a slow, painstaking journey back to the cabin. The backpack full of squirming cubs made it difficult to move quickly, and carrying the mother lynx in his arms wasn't easy either. By the time he reached his cabin, his muscles were aching from the strain, but he couldn't stop now. He had to save her. Inside the warmth of his cabin, Jaden quickly got to work. He lit a fire to warm the room and carefully placed the mother lynx on the floor near the heat. For the cubs, he had a large crate he used for his recently deceased dog. The crate, which had been too painful to put away after his dog passed, now became a safe space for the lynx cubs, where they could stay contained while he tended to their mother. Jaden's first aid training from his time in the service, combined with the veterinary courses he had taken since moving to Alaska, came in handy now. He cleaned the mother's wounds, stitching up the deep gashes as best as he could. The injuries were severe, but nothing seemed to be punctured. He gave her antibiotics and did everything in his power to ensure she had a fighting chance. Once the mother lynx was stabilized, Jaden checked on the cubs. They were restless, but otherwise healthy. He took out some old dog toys and tossed them into the crate, watching as the cubs immediately started playing with them. It was strange seeing wild animals play so much like domesticated ones. The cubs pounced and batted at the toys, seemingly unaware of their mother's condition. Days passed, and Jaden kept a close eye on the lynx family. To his relief, the mother began to improve. She regained her strength little by little, and soon she was able to move without wincing in pain. Jaden knew it wouldn't be long before she was ready to return to the wild, and as much as he had grown attached to the lynx family, he knew that was where they belonged. When the day came for their release, Jaden loaded the mother and her cubs into the crate and used his skis to transport them back to their den. As he opened the crate, the mother stepped out, stretching her legs and surveying her surroundings. Jaden kept his distance, not wanting to spook her. She gave a low meow, and the cubs followed her out of the crate, running around and playing as if they had never left. Jaden watched them from afar, his heart swelling with pride. He had saved them, and now they were back where they belonged. For several weeks after that, he continued to bring food to the den, just to make sure the mother lynx didn't overexert herself while she fully recovered. But one day, he saw her with a fresh kill in her mouth, and he knew she was able to take care of herself and her family once again. Jaden thought that was the end of his encounter with the lynx family, but he was wrong. Early one morning, he was woken up by a commotion on his front porch. At first, he thought it might be a wild animal or even a person, but when he peeked outside, he couldn't believe his eyes. The mother lynx had returned, with all 7 of her cubs in tow. They were playing on his porch, chasing each other around and exploring his furniture. He watched in awe as the lynx family made themselves at home on his porch. The mother lounged in the sunlight, watching her cubs with a calm, contented expression. Jaden couldn't help but feel honored. It was as if the lynx was thanking him in the only way she knew how, by trusting him enough to bring her family to his home. For hours, the cubs played, rolling around and batting at each other. Jaden took out his camera and snapped photos from behind the window, capturing the joyous moment. He didn't dare go outside. These were still wild animals after all, but he felt a deep connection with them. They had come full circle from near death to playful, healthy creatures. As the lynx family eventually left, disappearing into the woods, Jaden knew that this would not be the last time he saw them. Over the next year, the mother and her cubs visited his porch several more times, each time filling him with a sense of wonder and gratitude. The cubs grew larger with each visit, and eventually, they left their mother to live on their own. But even then, Jaden would occasionally spot a lynx lounging on his porch, and he liked to believe that it was one of the cubs, remembering the man who had saved their lives. Jaden's act of kindness had not only saved the lynx family, but had also created a bond that transcended the boundary between man and nature. It was a rare and beautiful thing, and Jaden cherished every moment of it.